As you probably know, I've been teaching how to take minutes for well over 20 years, and I would estimate that about 90% of all of my attendees over the years admit to me that they hate taking minutes. Fortunately, after my workshop, they don't all feel that way anymore. And they typically hate taking minutes because they aren't always sure what part of the conversation they should be capturing. It is very difficult, and it is not recommended that you capture everything that everyone had to say. There's a really big difference between minutes and transcripts. Transcripts capture everything. Minutes do not. Once you get a few solid tips on what you should be doing, taking minutes doesn't have to be that hard. So this week, we're sharing the top 10 tips on minute taking. Now, I'm going to start this week by giving my tip as the first one. I usually give it as number 10, but this week I'm going to share it first. And it's the foundation for my Minute Taking Made Easy workshops and webinars. You don't have to capture everything that's said. You do need to capture what matters to the group when the meeting is over. So I recommend you ask yourself this question: will it matter in 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 months, 2 years? And if the answer is yes to any of those questions, then that is the information that needs to be captured in the minutes. Just because it happened or just because it was said doesn't mean that it has any relevance in the future. So if it matters why we made a decision, or if elements of the conversation that we talked about matter and will be referenced to, that's what we need to capture. Not everything, just what matters in the future. Tanis Desaperia for Toronto, Ontario recommends spending time checking out the agenda before the meeting so that you know what is important before you walk in the door. Then it's really easy to ignore the stuff that's off topic. A little homework makes minute taking a lot easier. Thanks, Tanis. Number 3 comes from Courtney Williams from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. And Courtney reminds us not to kill ourselves trying to remember to type every word. Get the necessary details from the agenda, like Tanis talked about, then the motion, then who seconded and made the motion, and a summary of the conversation using my tip of will it matter in 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours, and you will have what matters in the future. Cheryl Weiss from Leduc, Alberta tells us to do a lot of the work before the meeting as well. You can have your minutes set up with as much information as possible before you ever walk in the room. Now, I joke that there are some meetings that we wouldn't even need to attend and we could still write accurate minutes, right? So get as much done in advance as you possibly can, and then you're kind of filling in the blanks as you go. Ross Saunders from Centurion, South Africa brings us number 5 with one of my favorite tips. Ross encourages you to take live minutes. What you do is you put the agenda on the projector or on the screen if you're doing it online, and you capture the minutes as the group is going through. And yes, that means everyone is watching you type and everyone is seeing your mistakes and all that stuff that we see, but they're also helping you to decide what is important for the document and what it isn't important. Now, yes, live minutes are very stressful the first few times you do them, but it will save you a ton of time, and you'll quickly learn that most people don't want a lot of detail. They would say, no, you don't need that there, or this is all you need. So live minutes will get them done fast because they're done in the meeting and a lot shorter than most people typically do. Number 6 comes from Airdrie, Alberta, and Tammy Plunkett. Tammy recommends having the motions in advance if you can. Work with the chair to make this a common practice. So to begin, motions do need to be captured exactly as was stated. We don't summarize those. So having them in advance is easier for taking minutes and better for everyone attending the meeting because they know exactly what they are going to be talking about and they can come to the meeting prepared. Linda Green from Houston, Texas reminds us to take our minutes in rough and final copy using bullet points. The days of full sentence structure in your minutes are long gone. Those are very hard to write, and it is far too easy to fall into the habit of Bob said this and Mary said this. And so if you move to bullets, you can create your document much faster because you're not typing in full sentences, just bullets. And your attendees are much more inclined to actually read your document because it's easier to zip through bullets than it is to read sentences and paragraphs. Make it short and sweet. Number 8 is from Kathleen Laporte Christodoulou in Bayshore, New York. Kathleen shared that she captures as much as she can using a OneNote section. marking what she should put in the minutes, and action items. She uses little stars and little question marks as she goes along. Kathleen says that when she types a lot, so she's typing a lot as the meeting is going on, it doesn't allow her mind to wander off to other more interesting things. And if there's a question later, she has most of the details that she can go back to the source to clarify. Then all she needs to do is remove information from her document, clean it up, condense it, and away you go. Your minutes are done. Harpreet Renu from Toronto, Ontario reminds us to keep it simple. She correctly tells us that minutes are not a word-for-word transcript of what goes on in the meeting. Minutes are a summary of actions and discussions that have taken place that we've talked about. Simple is good. And number 10 comes from Victoria Hahn from Pomona, California. Victoria takes minutes in very long meetings where she's not allowed to record them. And just as an FYI, don't assume that you're allowed to record meetings. If you are planning on recording, you need to get participant approval before, even if you're just turning on your recorder on your OneNote, you need to get approval for that. So since Victoria's meetings are so long, she encourages all to let technology help us. She has a laptop, as 6 hours of writing notes on paper would give all of us a major hand cramp, and she recommends using Board Effect, which is a Diligent product. She is going to take her own advice and ask that they add the Minutes Maker function to the solution. There's lots of different technological benefits out there, so don't assume you just have to write everything out by hand, right? And thank you to everyone for the kind words and recommendations, encouraging everyone to take my Minute Taking Made Easy workshops. You can check those out at minutetakingmadeeasy.com. That was our most common tip, and I appreciated that. And I know that it is an all-consuming and time-consuming task, and I know that most people don't enjoy taking minutes. I actually do, because I like knowing the inner workings of what's going on in the organization. So when I take the minutes, I learn the stuff that not everybody knows. So using these tips here are hopefully going to allow you to like taking a little minutes, taking a little bit more, but it's certainly going to make it easier moving forward. Good luck.